Continue Sefer Bamarim Tafresh Tzadik Vav, page 131 in the blue book. In the break in the page, Friedrich was explaining how when a person does his taivas, he's worse than an animal, as explained in different places in Chasidos. One of them, Kuntres Amayim, which explains about the person, how he's an Eidele, and the person shouldn't go after his Nefesh Bahamas, his Yetzirah. But now, the Friedrich Rebbe is going to start discussing what is a carbon. And we know carbon on the Mizbeach in the Beis HaMikdash. You take an animal, you shecht it, slaughter it, you take the blood, you receive the blood in a cup. You take the cup of blood, you spill it on the Mizbeach, on the altar, on the corners, and then you take the fats of the animal, the special aliyah, the tail, the fats that's covering all the places that the Torah says you have to give on the Mizbeach, even the altar. And you take it and you throw it on the Mizbeach. You give it as a sacrifice to Hashem, a carbon to Hashem. So the two components of a carbon would be the blood and the fat. Just like when it comes to the animal, when you're sacrificing it on the Mizbeach, the physical animal, what's the main point of the hakrava, which is to take the blood and the fat. So too, it's likened to a person. When a person wants to offer a carbon, as we know, the famous mimer, Adam ki yakriv mikem. Yeah. Why does it say Adam ki yakriv mikem and not mikem ki yakriv Adam? Yeah. Carbon lavaya. It says Adam in the beginning because a person, he could give a carbon from himself. What's the carbon? What's the sacrifice he could give from himself to Hashem? So that is the blood and the fat. So what is the blood and the fat? The two components of blood and fat. We explained that blood is white and dam is red. Blood is fat is white and blood is red. Which is the kindness and then strictness. And there's many levels of chesed and gevura that goes high and high, up to the highest of the highest, the loftiest of the loftiest. Which is the highest levels, which is up above, likened to chesed and gevura. We know up above there is no actual midas, right? Hashem doesn't need any midas in order to express himself. However, down below, when it goes down lower, then we have this idea of chesed and gevura. But up above, corresponding to down below, we have chesed and gevura. So now, when it comes to the person, the keiches nefesh in tainik v'ratzin. What is the blood and what is the fats? That's the pleasure and that is the bliss, the desire. The tainuk, which is the pleasure, the bliss, the ratzin is the desire. These are the two components, two aspects of blood and fat. The tainuk, chiver, because when it comes to tainuk, which is white, what does it mean it's white? Pleasure is white. What does it mean it's white? Visrachvus, it's chiur v'rachvus. Chiur v'rachvus. It's white and it's expansive. The shashim chesed, because it's chesed. Chesed we know is kindness, and kindness is what's the color that is compared to kindness? The white of that Hashem has. A person's clean, a person is pure, he is kind. That's the idea of white. Not only is it a type of kindness that's white, it's also very expansive. That a person has a lot of kindness that he is able to contribute. And now, when it comes to the desire of a person, the passion of a person, that's sumuk the taikaf and shashim gevura. That's the red, and that's the passion that comes from the source in the strictness and the gevura. And this is the idea. When you sacrifice blood and fat, Just like it is by the avodah, the service of a person. When a person wants to give part of his blood, part of his fat to Hashem, it says in Tehillim, just like the blood and my bones satisfy my soul, which is referring to the satisfaction, which is the tainug, the pleasure that a person has. So I'm giving, just like that, I'm giving that to Hashem. The chelav and the deshin, the fats and the bones. Because we know physically when a person eats a lot and has pleasure in eating, he gets fat. He gets a lot of fat, he gets a lot of tissue that expands him, and he has a lot of shuman, he has a lot of fattiness in him. Shiba Adam in a person. It comes from the tainug, the pleasure. That's one of the things that they say. Skinny people, they have no tainug. It says fat people, when they you could see when they get excited, when they are happy, they're usually always in a happy, joyful mood. You see a lot of people that are very fat, and they're able to be good comedians. They're able to be good jokesters because they have a lot of tainug in their life. They have a lot of pleasure, which is corresponding to the fat. Fat corresponds to pleasure, and so therefore you have a lot of people that a lot of them, based on the derech bnei adam, you could also have it that they're insecure or whatever, but the real reason is because they have a lot of tainug. Since they have a lot of tainug, it's the energy that they have is a very tainug-dik pleasure that they have, that they're able to express because they're fat. They have a lot of fat. With all respect to the fat people. So it comes from tainug. Because when it comes to eineg, what's the idea that a person always wants to eat, or a fat person who always wants to continue eating and try to get it, and you tell the guy, you're stuffed, you can't eat anymore, you push it, you're gonna explode. Nevertheless, the guy really wants to eat the last bite. He has to eat the last bite, and we all know what happens. He explodes. But the idea is, when a person wants these pleasures, tainug, even when it comes to not food, when it comes to physical, spiritual pleasures, when it comes to higher, lofty things that are pleasure, a person takes pleasure in. In that case, it's a level that we're going to explain that it's a koiches makif. The koiches makif means the surrounding koiches, the surrounding strength of a person, the energy that surrounds a person. When a person is surrounded by something, so he'll never be completely in the thing. He'll never be completely in the thing that's surrounding him. Since surrounding doesn't mean inside, it means around the person. When the person puts on a garment, it surrounds him. It goes around. Does he become the garment? No. The garment is something separate from him. He's a different person from that garment. Yeah. So too, when it comes to these levels of makifim, the level of surrounding a person, that a person, he has a desire for tainug. He has this willpower, we're going to explain about the willpower soon, but he has this idea of pleasure, that he wants to have pleasure. But this pleasure that he has is never going to be manifest into an actual thing that you could say, this is pleasure. Because whenever it's going to be, this is pleasure, no, it's not. Oyev kesef lo yispa kesef. Someone who loves money won't be satisfied. Since there's always going to be more money, more things for a person to have a pleasure in. So when a person, even if he has a superficial pleasure in something, that's not the actual pleasure. It's not the real pleasure that he could pinpoint and say, this is pleasure. No, this is just a way to bring out. Like when a person buys things and he wants to get things, he wants to acquire wealth, and he wants to acquire clothing, or he wants to acquire property. So in that case, when a person, or whatever it is, a person is buying online, he wants to buy random things, and he always wants to continue buying and buying and buying. So you ask the guy, why are you buying things? Right? Why are you buying it? He says, I want to buy it because I want to be happy. I want to be happy, right? Because a person really, he's just trying to get to the happiness. All the stuff that he has, it's nothing compared to his happiness. He just wants to try to get to the state of happiness. right? It's a level that it's evading him all the time. Whenever he wants something, he's trying to get the happiness. He's trying to get to the happiness because it's a level of makif. This thing, this idea of pleasure, happiness. This thing, not happiness per se, but this pleasure that a person has. It's likened to this thing that the person always wants a lot of makif. He wants a lot of different types of things that can make him have pleasure, feel pleasure. But really, it's a level of makif. It's a level that's surrounding a person. It's even higher than a person. We're going to explain that makifim is a level of the highest level of a soul. One of the highest levels of a soul that you can't go down into minaslabish and to combine it into the physical thing to say this is it, because it's always surrounding it. It's always high. It's such a high level that it can't go into the object. It can only go around it. Comes from the surrounding parts of the nefesh. And the source that it comes, the pleasure you have this pleasure in the soul, that comes from the merchav, comes from the expansiveness of the I don't know if it's a word or not, expansiveness, but you have the expansiveness of the soul. It always wants to expand. So too, like we explain many places in Chassidus, of Chesed and Bina. Chachma and Bina, sorry, not Chesed. Chachma and Bina. Chachma and Bina, one means the intellect, and one means the wisdom. One means the spark of the intellect, and one means the wisdom that nurtures the intellect. So the difference between haskala and the hasaga. These two levels of haskala and hasaga, which is chachma and bina, just like what's in a person. He has the potential to be smart. So bina is when a person develops that smartness to become something expansive in order to understand and to breadth and deepen his knowledge. So when it comes to hasaka, understanding something, that's idea. When you try to finally grasp the idea and you try to understand it, then you try to make mishalim, then you try to make parables, you try to make questions, and you try to expand your knowledge deep inside, and you make situations, you make all the data and all the analysis and all the stuff from the spashtos. That's all from the level of that expansiveness of the idea. But the idea itself, the haskala itself, it's very small. It's a minute thing compared to what it is, what it becomes. It's a flash. It's like a flash of lightning, which is the level of a nakuda, a dot. A dot. When you put a dot on the page, you can't say this is what you want to write. This is only the potential of what you want to write. This is the potential of how you can make a letter is by having dots. Each letter consists of many dots. So too, when it comes to the level of pleasure, it comes from the expansiveness of the soul. That the soul wants to always expand. It always wants to get it and deepen its horizon. And since that it comes from the merchav, since it comes from the expansiveness, so therefore it's always going to try to continue and to expand all the times in every single matter and every single thing. The Tainug is always going to want more and more and more and never going to stop. Not only when it comes to things that it's the manner of which to expand and to grow, with spashit and to spread out the energy. Just like when it comes to a person, when a person eats and he has a desire to eat and to eat and to eat, so his flesh that he has, the fat, that grows and grows, and it gets bigger and spashed, and you see he has a big stomach, he very big stomach of shows that he has so much tainug that the basar was able to expand itself in a level and to stretch itself and to make it into the idea of a spashta spreading out to his whole body. That's the idea of pleasure. Pleasure means that it's always expanding. That's when it comes to something that's by itself, that it automatically expands, right? We know growth. Yeah, that's always the thing that expands. That's because it's the way of expansion. However, something that's not, however, when it comes to the bones, so now let me think about it. The bones is a shtickle different. It's a little bit different than when it comes to fat. Why? Because bones, they don't grow. It's not an idea that bones grow. How could you have bones grow? Bones don't grow. They're inanimate. They don't have the potential to grow. However, in that case, nevertheless, they have, since when you have, turn to page 132, since through this pleasure that a person has, even the bones of a person could expand and contract and could grow in a level, in a sense. Even stuff that are not able to be expansion. But nevertheless, through tainug, you're able to expand it. Like it says in Mishlei, that by hearing something, a great piece of news, that will expand the bone. You know the famous story in the Gemara in Gittin, that there was the Roman emperor, when they were destroying the Beis Hamikdash, so Rechem and Zakkai went to him and was going to ask him about to save Yavne v'Chachamel and Yisrael Gamliel. It explains in Gittin over there. And so one of the story was that he wasn't able to, the general, the Roman general, the emperor, wasn't able to put on his shoe. And it was the same shoes that he had before, the day before. But he wasn't able to put on his shoes. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai said, you know what you should do to put on your shoe? Bring your enemy that you just got, bring one of the rebellions people, bring them here, they got in captive, and bring him out, and you'll see, you'll be able to put on your shoe. So they brought out the captive, they brought out this person that they captured, the big enemy of the emperor, that he hated him with a passion. And his bone that he had for a shoe, it shrunk, and he was able to put on his shoe. And so the Roman emperor was very impressed and gave Rabbi Gamliel 3 requests, which ultimately ended up saving Klal Yisrael with the base Rebbe and Yavne v'Chachamel, and I forgot the third one. But the idea was that he asked Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, how is it possible? So he says it in the pasuk, it's shaped in the pasuk of Mishlei, that Shmuel Teva, by hearing something good, you won the victory, you won the thing. They told you that you're whatever, something that you're going to become emperor, you're going to become the emperor. So automatically your bones grew out of pleasure, out of taiva, out of hearing something great, out of tainug, yeah? So therefore, in order to get rid of it, you have to have somebody that you dislike, somebody that you hate. In that case, that will be able to contract your bone, you'll be able to put on your shoe. Fine. Getting back to the Ma'amar Reisha, so it's understood that this pleasure that a person has is able to make a merchav, it's able to widen and to breadth, and to make it bigger, and to make it expansiveness in all the matters. That makes it shemen, and it makes it fat. It's able to dash, it's able to make it fattiness of the flesh and even of the bones. Like it says in Tehillim, that's what it means, that just like the blood and the deshen, you're able to tishba nafshi, you're able to satisfy myself. Just like when it comes to chelev, the fat of an animal that you take, it comes from the pleasure of the animal. The animal is eating, you give it a lot of flesh, you stuff it, you do what the Gemara says, you stick it down its throat, you put the hay, you put all the stuff, and you make it eat a lot, and it gets a lot of fleshiness, a lot of fattiness for the animal, so for the steak afterwards. So too when it comes to up above, there's something called the chelev aruchni. Chelev aruchni is the fat, the spiritual fat. That a person, he has in himself this spiritual level of pleasure in his soul. It satisfies, satiates the soul. And it makes the soul to expand and to understand and to spread out more and to have into his whole body that he could feel his soul and all the energy of what he does, and he could bring it out. Right? Like the Rebbe brings an example like you could see in the human nature. When a person has a pleasure, so all the levels, all his koiches that he has, all his energies of his soul is a level of expansiveness. And it says, and it says, all the fats are for Hashem. Every fat that in the animal, except for a few others, you give it to Hashem. You have to sacrifice it to Hashem. This is the Nakuda of the Maimer. This is what the Maimer is teaching us. The Maimer is teaching us a simple thing. Every pleasure that a person has, all this pleasure, the inyan of Tainuk, has to be Kol Chil Lavaya, has to be only Belakus, only for Elikus. The whole is Anuk. And how do you have this pleasure? How does a person have pleasure of godliness? How can a person try to get this level of godliness and to be Kol Chel Lavai, that every single thing that he has is pleasure for Hashem? By him doing his abundance, by him sitting down, contemplating, by instead of jumping up and down, he sits down for a second and he thinks about godliness. And he thinks about Pasuk Rishon. He has such a pleasure for Hashem. Yeah, we know different levels of his spilus, of how a person is able to, after when he has this abundance, he goes crazy, jumping up and down. The Pasuk Rishon Krishma, by a person thinking of the first Pasuk of Krishma, like we said before, that a person, a person understands this concept and he's delving into it and he's pulling it apart and he's trying to understand it in his brain. He's trying to get the tiny pleasure in this understanding of godliness. The first pasuk of ECHBRECH, which is Mina Torah, based on the biblical. Mepirish, Inyan, Havaya, Echod, when a person thinks about Havaya Echod, that Havaya, that Yud Kei Vav Kei, that Hashem's name of Havaya is Echod, that Hashem himself is Echod, the name of Hashem unlimited. Echod is one. Which also, like it says, Ani Havaya Lo Shenisi, that I didn't change, Hashem says. Like it says, Adu Koidim Shimrelim. We tell Hashem, you were greater before you created the world and greater after. There's no difference whether greater before or greater after. You're the same God before and after. The Kula Kamei Kol Chashiv, that everybody before Hashem is like nothing. When a person thinks about this, that Kula Kamei Kol Chashiv, and how Hashem Havaya Echad, and Hashem is the same Hashem before the world and after the world and during the world and all this stuff, whatever, every idea of Kula Kamei Kol Chashiv. Right? When Mashiach comes, it's going to be Hashem. When before the world was created, it was Hashem. Now that there's Hashem, every second, which comes to be a daita, you're going to know, you're going to daher, and you're going to figure out that Hashem is Yediyah, that a person has a Yediyah and Asaga, that Hashem is the highest level, the highest of the highest. The Havaya Elikim. The Havaya is Elikim. And a person's going to know, and he's going to daher, and he's going to sit down, and he's going to understand, and he's going to figure out, and philosophize. No, not philosophize. He's going to explain to himself, he's going to explain to his animal soul, he's going to explain to people that he meets, the idea of Haspra, Inyan, Atzma, he's going to do it betoiv, he's going to do it very good, very, very, very great explanation. He's going to get it to himself that he feels it, he has this hasaga, that a person understands it. Like it says, that Hashem created the world with Yud and a Hey. That with a Yud, with a Pintala, it was created the Elam Haba. With a Hey, and with a Hey, it was created this world. Yeah. Explains many times the idea of Yud and a Hey. Each one represents one a little bit, one dot, that showing that the Elam Haba is nothing compared to the Elam Hazeh, that we have to make this Elam Hazeh, the hay, the hay that's made out of a dalet and a line, and the idea, fine. But it explains many places in Chassidus. But the idea is the same. That the person has to understand, he looks back and he sees, how did Hashem create the world? With two letters of the alphabet. And he thinks to himself, and he thinks, he thinks about the person speaking. I'm speaking right now. How many words do I have to articulate this? How many letters do I need in my word for my day-to-day life? My day-to-day life, I'm speaking. In the end is much more speaking. It's nothing compared to them two letters. Give them two letters, they're going to make nothing out of it. They're going to be not going to make an actual thing. They're going to make ECHBRECH. The idea is, the two letters, a person has to understand that he's a level of nivra, person that's being created by Hashem. He's a level of creator, created. How much more so? Much more so, he's nothing compared to Hashem. Like this is in Tanya. Brings the matter. Nothing superior. And this shear that you have to have, the measurement you have to have to figure this out. To have the depth of his banos. It has to be like it says in the Torah. It says in the Torah. You should know your father, God of your father. And you should serve him with a full heart. What does that mean? You should know the God of your father. And how long should you try to figure out and to know God? Until you're person should go depth down to the nitty-gritties until he gets to the level that he's going to do it down into this world. He's going to do it. He's going to get up and he's going to say Kriya Shema. He's going to start davening. He's going to start learning. He's going to start going mitzvah. He's going to do Pashut what Hashem wants him to do. Love the ECHBRECH, to serve him with one complete heart. Not that he has one heart here, another heart there, and this and that. He eats. What does it mean he eats? It says a person, he has two hearts before he eats. And after he eats, he has one heart. That's the idea that a person, in order for a person to have one heart, he has to eat. He has to have the lechem hamazon. Lechem hamazon is the Torah. This is mean you have to have Torah that you have all complete one heart. You have one heart, you have to do with one heart. The complete heart, the full heart. And now this is the key. Why would a person want to do this as banos? It's a hard thing to do, right? You look at it, you see a person in chassid working hard. You see a random person, I don't know, in shul. Look at that guy, he's not having fun, he's doing whatever. He's sitting over there doing his banos. What is he even thinking about? He's probably thinking about what he's going to eat for supper. He's not really thinking about God. He's not really thinking about his banos. He's not really doing. You think about it. You look at the guy. He's nothing. Or you look at him and you say, he's not. Look at this guy. He's not eating. He's not sleeping. All he's doing is his banos, trying to figure out. Look at Avicho. Yeah. But he's not doing. He's a faker. No, that's the idea. The idea is understanding brings to pleasure. Understanding the vart, and by doing his bananos, and by sitting down and contemplating, however long it takes for a person to figure out that that you have to serve Hashem with one heart, to have the first part in order to do the second part. That itself brings to pleasure. That itself brings the pleasure that you're able to have oinig in alukus. And once you are in something and you're really into it, you're really into one thing, and you're a pidimi, right? You're something that you're focused on what you're doing. And you're in the good. You're understanding. You're trying to figure out this bananus, and the translation and the meaning the deep meaning of and how Hashem has two letters to create the world. Ein Aroich to us. And He's the greatest, and we're nothing compared to Him. Then that understanding will bring to pleasure. And this is one of the advantages of understanding something compared to getting the brainstorm idea. When you understand something, you have a greater level of pleasure. But when a person gets a flash of lightning of the idea, when he understands it for 1 second, he moves on, he's not getting this idea of oinek. He's not getting this tainuk. Zel bir ha-maimer. This is what explains. This is the explanation of the maimer, like it says in Zohar, that his galus atik bebina, to reveal atik, the highest level, that's in bina. Chachma can't reveal it. Bina could reveal it, because bina is nurturing, developing, and that's his galus. That's how you bring out the pleasure in bina. There's galus atik and bina. The teva ha-oinig, and what's the nature of the oinig? When you're working on something and you have pleasure in that thing, there's no shaykhus to anything else. Everything else, the world stops, and you are in its bonanos. You're thinking about godliness, and you get to a level of oinig, love of God, fear of God. You're going to this the oinig of avaya, this anagal avaya, and kochel avaya. All the pleasures that a person has, he's giving that to Hashem. In that case, what is he doing? He's bringing out carbon. He's bringing the carbon, which is kochel avaya, all the fats to Hashem. That all he's thinking about is just the thing he's doing. All the fats to Hashem. What does it mean, all the fats to Hashem? Every single fat, every single tainug, every single pleasure. So it has to only be in Elokus. He has no machshavazores, no things that he has in the physical that he wants or anything. Even when it comes to a spiritual thing, a person, he's doing his mononos, but he wants to get to Atzilus, not good. Even that the person should not like. He should not desire it. Why? Because the main point, what's the main thing that a person desires of Hashem? Person has to want, person has to desire, person has to bring himself to have a geshmak, to have a tainuk in Elokus, but it has to be the highest form of Elokus, the ultimate form of Elokus. No superficial parts of Elokus could bring a person. Who is like you in the heavens? For me in the heavens, who is for like me in the heavens? And the nation down that I don't want. I'm with you. With you, we don't want you in the earth. The Shamayim, because what does it mean? This cryptic part saying in Tehillim that the heavens refer to Shamayim, that the heavens refer to the level of the spiritual, the higher beings up above. Umi li vashamayim. What do I need the heavens? She'ene chofitz. I don't desire the heavens. Even the highest heavens, I don't want the heavens. The Gan Eden, I don't want this Gan Eden. I don't want the Giluyim of Elam Habo. I don't want this. I don't want Elam Habo. I don't want Gan Eden. Right? As the Alter Rebbe was rolling around, I don't want your Gan Eden. I don't want your Elam Habo. I don't want your Giluyim. I want only you, Hashem. I only want Atzmus Ein Sof. Baruch. Only want you, Hashem. And with you I don't desire, I don't like, I don't want. Even the level that's the highest form of Gili, the highest form of revelation, that says you're literally ki imcha, you're with me, mekar chayim. When you're with me, you're the source of life. Shehem agiluyim, which is the levels, the hayoser nalim emakar chayim. You're going up to the makar chayim, to the source of life, umakar atanugim, and the source of the pleasures. Hine liyoisem rak bechinas amcha v'imcha v'oy v'atzos mamish. V'cheirino lechavasi. You hear this word, that when a person wants this thing, he says, I only want you, Hashem. So even this level of imcha, the level with you, but it's not atzmos, I don't want it. I want it to be only with atzmos. I only want atzmos. I don't care how great it is in the heavens or in the earth with you, even if it's going to be with you, Makar Chayim, the source of light, but I'm going to be with you. I'm not be'atzmos. I'm not together with atzmos, the essence of God. And I therefore don't want it. So too when it comes to Ratzin. Okay, we'll stop over here.